Good morning to you all. Daniel Miller here. How's everybody doing? I welcome you all to our Destiny Worlds and our charitable fundraising stream here on my channel. As you know, we've been already doing a number of those streams this week, and if you were with us, you will be fully aware of the fact that we had joined forces with other gamers and broadcasters worldwide on Twitch and other platforms in order to support the global fight against the pandemic of coronavirus that causes this absolutely devastatingly awful infection called COVID-19. So we are investing and we are trying to raise funds for one of the most beloved charities here in Britain, the British Red Cross. It's been around for more than 150 years, and it's been involved also in every trouble spot, hotspot around the world whenever people were struck by natural disasters, war, famine, disease, pandemic, or any other form of threat to humanity. And here in our country, the United Kingdom, the British Red Cross were involved from the day one with all of the emergency services. That also included the armed forces, the police, and our beloved NHS. So therefore, we want to first of all show our gratitude and appreciation by raising the profile, by sharing, by reminding everyone that the pandemic is still everywhere and it is not really subsiding. It is fluctuating. We have some better days, we have some worse days, but as we've seen in some of the countries around the world, for instance in the US, although they thought they contained the virus, suddenly they have another second wave of pandemic breaking out in some of the states, and obviously they're taking unprecedented measures to make sure that everybody respects. We're all doing our utmost best to respect these social distancing rules here in the UK. All the shops and everything in my local area are still completely shut, nothing really reopened, and the only shops that actually are functioning are the big Tesco's and Sainsbury's, and I think that's the way it is likely to remain. They said that the shops will be reopening together with hairdressers and cinemas on the 4th of July, but I'm very, very skeptical both about the number of those reopening, because the vast majority of the small shop, the vast majority of the owners of those small shops are not going to be willing to be risking their own life and also the lives of the loved ones. So I think it is just an attempt to reopen the economy at a time where this is actually not possible. And I'm absolutely against the overall trend that seems to be transpiring through our media, that we had won the battle, the virus has been basically completely curtailed, and we don't have, well, we have to still abide by the distancing, but they also wanted to reduce the 2-meter rule, which is abhorrent. I mean, honestly, if you have like a radioactive cloud spreading around, do you want to just walk into it? Honestly, I mean, you know, it's invisible, and this virus is say very, very deadly. You obviously can't tell whether you are likely to catch it or not. And we do know that keeping a distance which is at least 6 feet, or in the metric system 2 meters away from others, is something that is protecting you to a certain degree, and therefore, I should say even to the greatest degree, because you're not in any form of immediate contact with another person as the virus is spreading exclusively to the droplets. So if you are talking to somebody, you are within close proximity and you're inhaling the air, then this is where the contagion is likely to be spreading at its fastest. So therefore, I absolutely disagree with some of the things that have been said, being a health professional myself, and knowing what happens if you are indeed in receipt of deadly illness. Being a person who had survived a very nasty virus of Australian flu in 2007, which left me disabled for 6 years, and people who have not gone through that sort of ordeal have no idea how dangerous certain viruses are. And I have to say, also the members of my own profession and the medical community were a bit dismissive of the side effects and the long-term collateral that some of the viruses in the past had caused. And you will probably be familiar with many of these debates on ME and the so-called chronic fatigue syndrome, which frequently is the result of a severe virus which affects the nervous system of a particular individual, and it's been disputed as something that people made up. It's not really a condition, it's psychological. People are suffering from emotional problems, they imagine things, they are depressed, and that kind of utter nonsense, when in fact in recent years we were able to get some proper readings of the condition, where you could really see that some anomalies and some abnormalities are detected within the CNS, and indeed it is a post-viral syndrome, whether one wants to acknowledge it or not. Flus and viruses mutate and they change over a longer period of time, and we know full well that in the last 150 years we've had several viruses that were extremely deadly, the worst one of which was in 1918 after the First World War, so-called Spanish influenza, which unfortunately killed very many people worldwide, and very few people were able to survive it successfully at the time due to the lack of medicine and the overall conditions that were basically trailing the armed conflict, which was the biggest in history at the time. So therefore we know that the viruses are causing physical problems after we already successfully won the battle against them. And I think in case of coronavirus, it's already been established, albeit after a very short period of time, that everyone who had the virus with severe symptoms will be suffering from some form of health difficulty for quite some time, and that will be dependent on each individual, the way their body is, the way their organs work, and obviously the degree of severity that the virus, the severity of the damage that the virus would have left in that particular person. So, considering that we are still in the middle of the battle against the pandemic, we also need to kind of look forward and think about the collateral of the virus that lots of people are going to be experiencing after they survived it. And indeed, they may need a lot of extra treatments, a lot of additional community services that will help them. And don't forget, if somebody's biochemistry changes very suddenly, becomes really badly affected, that will have its own reflection on the overall well-being of that person. So it could be that some people will suffer from heart problems or from respiratory difficulties, or it's very likely that lots of people, due to the decrease of the energy levels, will experience depression or emotional problems, or indeed they feel stranded because due to the virus they were not able to work for quite some time, therefore they departed from their place of work, from the jobs, and the long period of rehabilitation had to take place, and that itself will be very lengthy and arduous and life-changing, in fact, in all sorts of ways, inclusive of everyday activities, finance, family, etc. So really, the charitable fundraising campaign here is present on my channel in order to raise awareness for all these issues, and what better charity to support but the British Red Cross, the charity that's been at the forefront against all kinds of difficult battles over the period of 150 years. They included 2 world wars, many localized wars and regional conflicts, inclusive of the recent ones in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria and Libya and all the other spots in Africa which had been marred by armed conflict for quite a few years and decades. And therefore also in our country, the British Red Cross was supporting our emergency services, the NHS and all the other charities in order to fight the pandemic, literally from the day one. And therefore we salute everyone who's been involved. We salute our friends and colleagues who were indeed risking their own lives whilst battling the deadly pandemic from the beginning, protective equipment and many other resources which were more than necessary. And therefore we treat all of those compatriots and members of the British Red Cross communities as a true British heroes. So in all of the work, completion of the duties and all they delivered so far, we are running this campaign to raise the issues, to raise the awareness on all that is COVID-19 and coronavirus related, as well as all the hard work that the members of the British Red Cross community were doing and completing literally from the day one. So if you are a gamer, if you are a family member, if you are a person who's been involved with health profession, if you're somebody who is up and about in the local community and is fully aware of coronavirus and COVID-19, then take a moment of your time to visit the web pages of the British Red Cross. get a bit more knowledgeable on all that the charity does. And also make sure that you share some of our postings on Twitter and Instagram with your own community members. If you are a broadcaster, if you have your own Twitch channel, talk about them there. You can join forces with us, you can subscribe to Tiltify, and you can run your own campaigns, which will be obviously most appreciated with the greatest possible support that you can give, as your valuable hours of broadcasting and streaming will be dedicated to a noble cause. And also you can donate. And remember, the donations do not have to be in very, very large numbers. You can start with as little as £1 or 50 pence, as it goes. And you donate the amount which you can afford, and every single shillings and pence will be saving lives somewhere around the world. The way it works is Tiltify is a reputable organization for fundraising, and they have been running many campaigns for various charities both in the UK and elsewhere. Therefore they're absolutely 100% legitimate, and I would never ever get involved with any campaign which was not backed up legally. So it's very easy and very safe to be donating. You can do it through the credit card payment or debit card payment through your bank, and also through PayPal. So that's the only two donation methods that are acceptable, and therefore very, very safe and secure without any other issues arising in consequence. So spare any revenue you can, invest, donate, support the noble cause. Make sure you also share postings which indicate that the British Red Cross indeed is at the forefront of the battle, and support the heroic works that the members of the British Red Cross community indeed were doing right from the beginning. Today we carry on with our Destiny world. We'll have a few hours of strikes and fierce activity. I must say that the recent activity in the channel has been a bit quiet, which was to my surprise. I really thought that after Bungie's announcement a couple of weeks ago on the full Destiny 1 integration into the Destiny universe within Destiny New Light was going to be raising interest and bringing in more newbies and old gamers and veterans alike to the Twitch channel for Destiny in order to find out a bit more about the activities. Some people certainly wanting to discover maybe some ins and outs of the story, because the RPG content will be massively increased in September, and that's been really not happening, I've got to say. I know that some games have come out recently which were indeed hotly anticipated. One of those has been very well received amongst the gamers, and less so amongst the reviewers. The Last of Us 2 came out last Friday, well, 8 days ago, and we had yesterday some messages from Naughty Dog, the developer of the game, indicating that within the first 3 days they sold more than 4 million copies, digital and physical, which is quite staggering. This is a milestone achievement for the company, and it turns out that the game is basically the best ever selling Sony exclusive that would have been released by the corporation. So it's absolutely incredible. 4 million copies sold. So just try to work out the figures in terms of the revenue. It's staggering. But on the other hand, not surprising, considering they already had a very, very large success with the Uncharted series, also delivered as Sony PlayStation exclusives, and lots of elements in the original game very similar to in-game mechanics that are bearing the signature of Naughty Dog. So that really is very, very impressive. I was very disappointed to see that there were so many people providing the game with terrible reviews, and it really didn't affect the sales, didn't affect the dedication of those hardcore Ellie and Joel fans from worldwide, because it's one of the most beloved games of the recent years, the last decade, and there was huge anticipation about the story and everything else that was to unravel. I think lots of these so-called reviews are basically done by the competitors and people who are really, having ill intentions towards Naughty Dog, considering the company as being one of those that is rising and perhaps becoming one of the most powerful in the industry. And we have seen that previously the negative aura being drafted through various social networking forums. I regret to say that lots of those are anonymous. You know, they're all kinds of fake IDs, and people keep posting these types of reviews, just flogging the point, which frequently is not even relevant. And we've had this earlier last year with BioWare, which I thought was completely conceived and I wouldn't say completely unjustified, because they released Anthem, the game that wasn't fully polished and finished, and the game basically didn't perform, and therefore people were very angry. But the content of some of those reviews and messages was completely off mark and definitely not in sync with the real state of the matter. And the game has been fixed and it works perfectly. I played it, gone to the end game after about 140 hours. It's massive, it's very enjoyable, it's very funny, it has a very good story. The fighting sequences and the environment are second to none. They're absolutely astonishing. So really, you know, it was just one of those things where you want to be using the current trends and medias in order to ruin somebody's hard work and overall tarnish the status of the company. I think the same thing's happening today with Naughty Dog. I'm very, very disappointed to see that people are jumping on the bandwagon of fake reviews and bots that are posting, you know, the nonsensical comments that made Metacritic, ruining the ratings. I think the first week we were having the ratings of 3.4, 3.2 out of 10, which is astonishing considering 4 million copies were sold and many, many absolutely delighted fans. If you were looking at Twitter, you would have seen so many positive reviews, and people love those characters and we feel for that world and for all that is happening, particularly to Ellie. So it is really truly disheartening to see that these kinds of malignant trends are being established. But you know, the new technology, the new forms of communication, the fact that we get information every single second of the day is something that is making it possible. And I think in due course we probably will have a very severe policing of these online forums, because I'm not sure. I mean, really, it must be to do with the investment industry that this is still allowed to be happening, because, you know, the forum's been run for more than 15, 20 years now, if you consider Facebook and all the other ones, 17 years, 16 years? Stop counties. And we've seen all the liabilities arising, and therefore you really begin to wonder as to why more was not really established already. And I guess what really pained me the most was to see that Twitter and YouTube, and, you know, the biggest entities that are providing us with the video content and various other bits of information, didn't really create their own safety teams that would be preventing malignant messages and videos from being posted, particularly those causing harm, you know, related to politics and terrorism and hate crimes and all sorts. You know, you don't really get that in the newspapers. You don't get that through the mainstream press. So why is it that on the internet there's this excuse, well, we can't really do that because of such and such? It's utter nonsense. Every company running the business does have both the means and resources to do this. But evidently, if you were to be blocking millions of different entries, then that would be affecting this company's finance and the overall number of followers and users, and that's the core reason as to why this was not done. I absolutely deplore that position, and I really want to see that change radically as soon as possible. Nothing more damaging than spreading fake news. Think about coronavirus and mindless, insane messages indicating that the 5G masts were causing the virus. I mean, honestly, how much more crazy can you be to be coming up with that sort of nonsense? Regrettably, some people believed it, and we've seen incidents where masts were set on fire here in the UK. So that sort of information should not be present online for more than 2 seconds. You know, it's just completely crazy. And that doesn't come under the category of free press or human rights issues. It's a human rights abuse. It is just absolutely insane to be considering that somebody is basically calling for a riot, you know, basing their information on something that is completely and truly invented. Anyway, my point is, resort to the facts. Think about all the postings and information coming out of the game developers rather than anything you can see online. Example, I've seen quite a few postings a little while back on Destiny 3, and you've had there the release date, the entire story of all that was to be happening, and the new concept for Destiny 3 and the new characters introduced, completely out of a hat. I mean, it's just nonsense, 100%, because we know from the developer that that is not happening. But yet, the news was circulated, people believed them, and there was suddenly this hype that Bungie is working on Destiny 3, which is definitely not the case, not true to fact. It's invented, ill-conceived, and malignantly placed there in order to ruin the company's new releases, and particularly the new concept and new business model that they're introducing for Shadowkeep and all other developments in Destiny New Light. So therefore, don't listen to this. Just switch it off, delete, report, ban, and resort to the official information. Do you believe rumors in your local community when people start saying silly things? You obviously don't. You want to have information backed up and verified. So why do it online? It's a big question. Why do it online? Back it up, find out. You know, people read Wikipedia and they think that all the information is correct. Well, it isn't. You need to double check the facts. I mean, I've seen, for lots of fairly insignificant findings, such as biographies of certain actors and media participants, loads of inaccuracies from the films that played in through the dates and biographical detail, and most importantly there were rumors injected in there through tabloids or any kind of press that is not really reputable, that certainly provided details that are completely out of ordinary for that particular individual. So therefore, one needs to always double check the facts. Whatever you're reading, make sure you are triple checking and getting facts straight in order to make sure that the information is correct and relevant, and therefore you're not taking on board something that is false. Sadly, loads of so-called journalists and online writers today copy and paste, and I'm sure you would have seen this. You have reports on, let's say, The Last of Us 2 selling 4 million copies, and there's a report written by one major company, and then you have like several hundred copied and pasted and just a few words changed, and that's it. That's the works. Well, that's not the way it should be. You need to be a bit more careful with what you're copying and pasting, because the information may not be correct, even if it comes from some of the biggest firms. We've seen yesterday there have been some apologies coming from Sky News towards the NHS because certain things said there were not true to fact. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to be always highly alert, but just triple check your facts and don't resort to the rumors, because they're really very, very damaging, and particularly in the era of mass communication and instant messaging, these kinds of damaging so-called fake news could really cause a lot of pain to lots of different people. And we've seen during the last couple of weeks that there's been quite a large number of disclosures coming from people who are involved in the broadcasting community and exposing the mistreatment and all types of abuse which they sustained over a longer period of time, either through the work as a broadcaster who works independently, or indeed in some instances coming through people who worked for major video game developers. So there is also a lot of attention given to this, and a thorough investigation is being run by the companies like Microsoft, Bungie, and Electronic Arts, and they released official statements indicating they involved their attorneys and their top-notch solicitors through their channels in order to investigate whether the disclosures and allegations are indeed true. So obviously these types of postings were taken with huge amounts of seriousness, and I'm sure that everything will be thoroughly investigated. But I think it's important for everyone to speak out, because if you feel that you are being unfairly treated, the first step really that you can take is by speaking your mind out and making sure that other people know about it. Keeping it quiet and thinking about your earnings and keeping a job and grinning and bearing is not a solution, because guess what? That degree of abuse and that degree of mistreatment will just carry on. It will grow because a particular entity may consider that people are too afraid to disclose that information, and therefore everyone and many other people in the future will be suffering. And at the end of the day, we are living in a civilized society which is abiding by the law. There are rules out there that people need to adhere to, and quite frankly, if certain entities are not doing so, or not doing enough to be upholding the law, then they need to be brought to book. Anyway, we are talking about lots of different issues, but I really think it's very important to conceptualize that loads of issues that sprang up during the last couple of weeks are connected to the current state of the matter worldwide. Lots of countries in a full lockdown, people left indoors for a very long period of time. It's really into the 4th month here in Western Hemisphere, and obviously many issues are rising. Many of those are highly political, and I believe, and I'm certainly expecting, many more to be springing up as the pandemic continues, and specifically after we begin to experience a much greater effect of economic recession, which indeed is present everywhere in every country on the planet. We've seen some economic reports, but overall my feeling is the medias and the politicians are keeping it hushed because they know how severe it is, and some countries are perhaps a bit more open about it. I've seen some reports coming out of Austria yesterday saying the economic crisis they're experiencing is the worst since the Second World War, and it's the second worst ever. So obviously there are reasons as to why they're saying this, because the figures and the predicaments are telling them that the future is not looking particularly bright. Many challenges and liabilities that will need to be tackled, and quite frankly, in my view, the system that we have in place is unlikely to survive all that's happening at the moment. We'll have to really consider some radical changes to the way we live and what we do, because we can't carry on like this, and we can't be expecting that the shareholding investment economy will just recover overnight. It will not. It will not be able to get back on its feet as quickly as we'd like, purely for the mathematical reasons. If you are good in math, if you know how the investment works, you'll know that it's always liabilities and assets, the probabilities as to why people invest. And if you see that there is a global slump, then anyone who is in possession of some sort of revenue will not be wanting to invest for quite some time, because they will know the investment may well be not coming back. They basically lose price or entity because simply there isn't enough money to go around, or there's enough interest, or there are other threats which are connected to the overall global slump. So let's wait and see what happens, but we as individuals need to adhere to the very best of living. We need to be humane, we need to be attentive, we need to be, first of all, providing attention and care to those who need it the most. We need to raise profile of companies and charities that are at the forefront of the war against the pandemic. We need to be a bit more careful with what we do every day. We need to adhere to social distancing. In addition to that, we need to be perhaps a bit more attentive to our neighbours and people who are living in our local community. Maybe a bit more sociable, maybe different overall, not as preoccupied with our iPhones and Android devices, but more communicative, more sociable in a manner which is allowing social distancing. And generally, we need to be the people that are changing the world for the better. That's the bottom line. Any major threat also can provide an opportunity, and we need to be able to get a rational mind fully active and then do what's necessary in order to make the world a better place. This is a massive opportunity, and it can go either way. The Prime Minister, our Prime Minister, he said there were moments where he thought his health condition, whilst he was in the intensive care unit, could go either way. And regrettably, that also reflects the overall status when somebody is suffering from terrible illness, because indeed it could go into one direction where you are recovering. On the other hand, it could really take a nasty turn for the worse and takes you the other way. And I think we really all have to strive towards the former rather than the latter. We want to make sure that we are progressing towards a better world, a world that is fairer, more united, more understanding, and less focused on all of those ills of the world that are causing many, many conflicts worldwide. Right, so let us think about our destiny world. What do we do today? Let's see how many people are watching. Let's see. Well, not very busy. Let's have a look at the number of viewers on Twitch overall. Curious to see that. Been really kind of monitoring it a bit during the last week. Not many viewers really. We only have a few streamers, very few. I can see that people are even not streaming Destiny 1 there on the channel. You know, it's really weird. You've got Destiny channel in here on Twitch, and I can see that for whatever reason people are able to stream Destiny 2 through it. So I think it's a bit of a cheat, as indeed people are probably trying to raise the number of viewers or followers by doing so. Not a good idea. You know the idea. You go to a channel where you have maybe 100 or 500 people watching, rather than the one that has like 10-15,000 watching, because the algorithm will not select you, you will not be spotted, and you know the story. I told you all about this before, and I just think that the overall focus of any broadcaster needs to be on doing it, you know, from the ground up. You need to start with your channel, and then you need to work on the game. You need to bring or build your community and progress, and all these likes and follows and cheats, etc., is nonsense. And you've seen probably many times on the internet companies offering services so they will actually buy your followers and expand your channels, and it's utter nonsense. It will backfire, it will not bring you any benefits, you will lose money, and in due course you may even get banned for life, considering that some of those companies may well be detected, and anyone who was using them will be then suffering consequences. Anyway, so let's think of our Destiny world here today. We have our Warlock, our Hunter, and our Titan. We'll go for the Hunter. He will be doing some strikes. That is exactly what we are going to be doing. So get ready for some action in Cyber Heroic Strikes today here on my channel. All of it is part of our charitable fundraising campaign for the British Red Cross. So if you're out there watching, make sure that you are contributing by either sharing the postings on various social networking forums. They include Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, any other. And also, if you're in position to support financially, then you can provide some assistance. You can donate by clicking on the link which we have there on Twitch and on Instagram and Twitter. And it's very easy, just simply click there. You get the statement from Tiltify on what this campaign is about, as to why we are supporting the British Red Cross, and then you click on PayPal or on your debit card payment. It's encrypted, it's secure, it goes to Tiltify, and it's obviously verified by the Charity Commission, and therefore you are contributing directly with ease. So any contribution will help, because don't forget, in some countries our revenue or our currency goes a long way. So £1 in Britain is not comparable to how much this £1 will be worth in the countries where you have a different monetary system, and therefore every shillings and pence will be here saving lives, and not just here in our country but around the world, and that is very, very important for everyone to remember. Right, so first of all, what we'll do is we'll go back to the tower and we'll do some admin before we launch the first mission. We need to get some bounties, we need to sort out our kit, and then we can depart for our first battle. So remember that, it's very important. You do that every single day, both before you start with your missions and also at the end of your session. Destiny is a game of systems, and it's also a game of tactics and structures. There's a lot to be learned, and it does take a little while. Certainly did take me longer than expected, I would say, as far as certain areas of that structure were concerned. But I learned everything through the members of my community here, and this was wonderful, because the veterans of Destiny were attentive and kind and friendly, taught me all the tips and tricks, helped me to complete certain missions, worked together with me on pinnacle weapons. So in about 3 months I was able to complete what others were doing for 3 years, and that was really formidable. And today I can say with pride that I know a lot about Destiny, and I can obviously teach others to do exactly the same. I also invite everyone to be participating in multiplayer activities, because this is a 3-man multiplayer game, and you get the best of enjoyment, the best of pleasure, as well as the awesome results if you're doing it in a team. You'll get your pinnacle weapons a lot faster. In fact, I completed my admin yesterday as we were departing, recollect, but there are still some items in there that may need attention.
All done.
Let's see. So it's class item engrams.
Whenever you
Okay.
need me again, Guardian.
Let me see. What was the weapon we picked up? Yeah, I'm picking up this weapon all the time. And let's see, it's all 400. I wonder whether I can stash one of those in the vault. No, not really. Alright, so that's all sorted. I don't want to spend any more time, because really with 4400 and all of my characters, I really do not require any extra weapons or anything else, and we can sort this out at some other time. We want to have some action, we want to be as engaged as possible. So let's see, solar ability, kills without dying, and let's see who's there. X Vertigo. Is it Vertigo? Yeah, it is. X Vertigo. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you for joining our broadcast. It is a charitable fundraiser for the British Red Cross. We are raising the revenue for one of our most beloved charities, so thank you for joining, and thank you for participating and becoming a new member of our Destiny 1 community here on Twitch and elsewhere on other platforms. And our friend is saying it's so good to see that some people are still playing Destiny 1. Well, I've been playing Destiny 1 for a long while, and here on my Twitch channel we've had it already for 2 years, almost everyday broadcasts. So my channel is one of those that is broadcasting Destiny on a regular basis, although we've had some breaks. But overall, when we get like our Destiny season up and running, be it Destiny 1 or Destiny 2, then it's delivered every single day. And hope you are going to be staying with our community and talking to our community members. We have very many who are popping in every day to say hello, and sadly in recent weeks it's been a bit quiet, but that's the way it's been really throughout the pandemic. You know, people have their own concerns and their own issues. I've heard from some of our US friends that they had to discontinue with their internet services because of the economic crisis which had set in, obviously the result of the pandemic. And you know, my heart sinks when I hear that, but lots of people had to really, you know, balance the books and make sure they didn't have any unnecessary costs. But overall, we're still here, and we have gone back to Destiny 1 recently because, as you know, we are going to be having the full Destiny 1 integration within Destiny New Light, the sequel, in September. To be precise, on the September 22nd, Destiny 1 will be migrating from back, and what the new concept, you know, is going to be like. And therefore we are reminding everyone of the story missions and all other activities here. In fact, we've gone through the vast majority of the story missions before this week, but on Monday I started with my charitable fundraising streams, and therefore, you know, the focus is somewhere else, which is basically to raise the profile on the British Red Cross, and also it is here in order to help other charities to raise the profile on everyone who's been involved in the battle against the pandemic. So this is what we are doing. So if you can share some of our Twitter and Instagram postings through your own community, really, I would really appreciate that. That is going to provide us with a huge support. And then obviously if in position, you can also contribute with as little as £1. That will be directly given to the British Red Cross. We want to support them to the best of our abilities in all ways, from raising the profile through generating funds. Are you also a veteran, Vertigo? Are you also playing Destiny 1? Are you still with it? Or are you doing Destiny 2 and all the missions that come together with seasonal content? Maybe you can tell us a bit about it. Tell us a bit about your Destiny 1 gaming history, all you've done, all that you want to be doing, all that you're excited about, perhaps some things that you didn't like about Destiny 2 and what's been happening with our recent seasons. Illuminate us a bit on all that you're doing at the moment.
Updating logs. Updating schedule.
Okay, so picked up these two, and I can see that I'm also in possession of a huge amount of glimmer. And look at him. I want to take a screenshot of this kind sweeper.
Checking for
And
packages.
let me just have a look at all that we are going to be doing next. Our friend Vertigo perhaps not here with us anymore. Or maybe you are, I don't know. It's really strange because I use Restream, you know, for streaming on different platforms, so I never know how many people are really watching my broadcast at any given moment in time. And the Twitch app is not really functioning 100%. You get sometimes people coming in on the PCs that don't register, and sometimes the messages are not seen. I'm not sure what's causing the issue. I've asked Twitch about it, but you know, they were telling me a bit about it a little while back. But Vertigo's still here with us, so wonderful to see you, and thank you for responding to my questions, really. Let's see what he says. He says, I'm playing a lot of Destiny 2 and played since year 1 Destiny 1. Just started downloading Destiny 1 again, thinking about making a whole new character and just running everything again. Well, it's interesting you should say that, because what I did recently, because I have 3 characters here on PlayStation, right? And all 3 characters are 4400, literally almost everything completed, and you know, majority of the pinnacle weapons and all sorts. And I was going to be having another go on Xbox, and therefore I was able to start then on every character from scratch, because I've not played Destiny on Xbox previously. So this was what we started a few weeks ago. And I have Destiny the collection for Xbox as well. But the trouble that occurred was a bit unexpected. I bought a brand new Destiny the collection, and it had DLC codes for the expansions. So once I've installed the game, I used the codes and it didn't register properly. So we've gone to the story missions of the base game, and we've gone up the ladder with our first character, notably Warlock, and we've gone to about light level about 120, I think, and overall the game level was also about 20, 25 or so, and then we couldn't progress anymore. But I'm still waiting for Microsoft and Bungie to sort this out, because I don't really want to be purchasing the game for the second time on the full price. But there's been a change a little while back on the way these codes worked, and I got obviously the game that was, I guess, released right at the beginning, albeit not used at all, and therefore the codes didn't work. So anyway, I'm still waiting for that to get resolved. But the reason I'm telling you this is quite simple, because if you have both consoles, or indeed if you want to be doing it on your PC, mind you, Destiny 1 you can't do on your PC still, but that will be possible from September. And you know, if you have 2 consoles, let's say if you were doing it on PlayStation, you just go and do the game on Xbox, and you start from scratch on all 3 characters, and that will provide you with a lot of fun. And you'll have to obviously build a character from ground up, from scratch, and it will be a very interesting experience. In fact, I can tell you, I've done 6 runs on the story missions and everything here on PlayStation 4. But after doing it for the first time on Xbox, I discovered that only my first run on the Warlock was in fact as challenging, because I had nothing, right? And I was just reminded of the fact how important it is to be having pinnacle weapons and top light level and all of that. So yeah, I think that's certainly one of the options. If you're starting with the character from nil or from level 1, then the challenges are being experienced really through a very, very different type of viewpoint. And Vertigo says, oh, that's really weird. And yeah, I'll be playing on PlayStation, but I have a lot of stuff in my vault. It's going to be hard not being tempted to grab my good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it comes together with the game, because obviously once you've gone through, let's say, 3 runs on all 3 characters, you've gone through all story missions, you don't really want to be using feeble, weak armor and weapons that you would get if you start from level 1. But on the other hand, depends on how you want to run it. But I'll tell you one thing. What you can do is, you can start with your character that is completely depleted of anything, but then you can do it together with maybe 2 mates in a team of 3 for all of the activities, and let's say they will have pinnacle weapons, so they're like 4400, so they can help, but your own experience of what you do is going to be quite generic. It's going to be based on the overall experience of the character, who is not really leveling up at all, or hasn't been leveled up to the umpteenth degree. So certainly this is a possibility, and Destiny does have a very lengthy shelf life, and I can tell you, after doing 6 runs and recently the 7th run on the overall story missions and all activities, it is never mundane or boring or stretched. You always discover something you've not seen before, and that is always very, very highly exciting if you're doing it together in a team. I had the privilege of doing the vast majority of my activities here until very recently with a team of 3, and I had a waiting list that was helping others to pop in, because obviously lots of people want to participate in online gaming, live and broadcast, and usually I would have maybe a team of 3 that would be doing it for maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then they would be replaced by another, because previously my streams were 6 hours rather than 4, and it was very enjoyable. It was really good fun, and I never felt alone, and I learned everything from my community members. Like, for instance, we were collecting dead ghosts, or they knew exactly where these items were, or when we worked on a particular quest for pinnacle weapons, it really helped when they contributed. So anyway, just a few ideas, a few tips on what you might be able to do. And I think similar to Anthem, Destiny is a full multiplayer, and it's obviously best experience done in a team of 2 or 3. If you're doing, obviously, the raids, you'll have a team of 6, but that's really not that frequent that people do raids. Usually they happen on Fridays and Saturdays, so I guess today is a day where a lot of that will be taking place. Vertigo says, oh, that's really quite nice, but I'll be by myself. Well, it depends. If you really become connected to one of the broadcasting channels here on Twitch, and you kind of liaise with the community, you will never be alone, and you will find that people are sending you messages through PS app whilst the broadcast is not on. Not your own broadcast, but the broadcast of a particular streamer. And they'll ask you whether you want to join in. And at one stage, 18 months ago, I was getting loads of messages at any time of day or night, because I was seen as the streamer who was basically holding out a beacon of hope for Destiny on Twitch, and I would get all kinds of messages, and everybody wanted to join in, and coming from different time zones. I'm obviously in the UK, and people would be messaging me from Singapore, from Russia, from the US, and Mexico, Panama, you name it, countries in the world. So really a very, very vibrant, very lively, very engaging community of Destiny veterans from everywhere. And also they liked being involved because, as a mature gamer, I have a very different type of approach both to gaming and Destiny, and they also like the social interactivity, connectivity elements here on the channel. They made lots of new friends, they made new, buddies with their fire team members, the future fire team members, and they find buddies to do raids with. This is really good fun, and that really is the bottom line of all I do here. Kind of bringing people together, connecting, interacting, making it very sociable, building a proper gaming community that is ethical and attentive and kind and helpful and the way we want it to be. So Vertigo says, I wish I could just delete my vault and everything and just completely restart. And he says, oh, that's really very cool. No, don't do that. I think we were having a number of sessions here on my channel when some of the veterans were discussing the same sort of problem with the vault. And the idea really was, like the question was, what do you keep in the vault, right? And I said, well, I thought all that you are going to be using needs to be kept in the vault. But then on the other hand, if you are a collector or if you are a completionist, you may want to be collecting certain items that would simply stay there for you to see. But don't forget, you've got these kiosks. You know the kiosks that are on the bottom landing when you go to Ikora and all that? They have all the items that you would have been acquiring throughout the game. So some of them will be unlocked and the others will be locked. And that really is an area where you can find out how many of those weapons you actually collected in the game through your gaming sessions. A better one than just keeping it in the vault. The vault here is small, but then if you think about it, how many weapons or bits of armor will you be using for your character? Well, those which appear to be most applicable, the ones that have the greatest resilience or the greatest strength in terms of the weapons. And I certainly can say that there are weapons that universally apply to all three characters. For instance, the pinnacle weapons, Black Spindle, Dark Drinker, Bolt Caster, Sleep Assimilant. Those weapons you can use on any character, and obviously you will keep them and you will use them. But then you'll be getting lots of legendaries that are not particularly useful if you're in possession of, let's say, a perfect god roll on Imago Loop. Well, why would you be wanting to use other weapons like other hand cannons that don't have the same abilities or perks? So I'd say that's probably the criteria for me. And I kept some weapons in there, and my vault is also full, because obviously as I'm broadcasting, frequently people ask it about a particular weapon, they want to see it, and then we look at a weapon when I have it in the vault. It's the kind of procedure that I have in order to provide tutorials or learning for some of the newbies. On the other hand, if I was just having it for myself, I'd probably slash everything by half. The tricky thing in Destiny 1, I'm sure you experienced it, was that if you are, let's say, full on inventory, I need to go to the postmaster later for the pickups. You can't easily delete in there. You need to be picking it up and then deleting. It's the same thing with the vault, and that is very, very time consuming. They've sorted this in the sequel. It's very immediate. You go to the postmaster, they got weapons there you don't want, you just delete straight away. It's very fast. In this instance, it does take time. So in order to prevent, I wouldn't say time waste, but the arduous, lengthy activities here at the tower, it's probably best just to be picking up what you really want to be using. That's certainly my thing. On the other hand, the reason they've done it like that is also simple. Because you have the Crucible and some of the heroic strikes are really kind of relentless, they also wanted the gamers to be having a respite, because the idea behind ethical gaming is that you're not rehammering it for 6 hours with any breaks. You need to be applying so-called 20-20-20 rule. So after the first 20 minutes, what you want to do is you want to have some water, and also you want to look away from your screen. And then after another 20 minutes, you want to be getting up and stretching a bit and also looking away from your screen and having a bit more water. And then after an hour, which is the third lot of 20-20, you need to have like a 5 to 10 minute break. So that is the thinking behind the tower and some of the lengthy activities, because as you're doing them, they're not really high paced and you're kind of relaxing. That's the thinking behind it. Right. Well, glad to see that our friend has joined our community. Maybe you can give us a follow here on Instagram or Twitter if you obviously like what you see. The community has not been busy today so far, and it's been like this already for a little while. I'm not sure why that is, but I really think, you know, you probably would have seen on various online forums, they said that during the pandemic, the number of users had exponentially grown and there was so many people out there. And that's true, and I think lots of people playing their own games. But in terms of the actual interactivity here on my channel, I've got to say that during the times of pandemic, it's been much poorer compared to what we had beforehand. And there must be reasons as to why that is. I think on one hand, people preoccupied with their own issues, which are pandemic related, be it economic, financial, any other. And then on the other hand, you have lots of people who probably realize that now is the time to finish up on massive games like Fallout 76 or Red Dead Redemption, and we'll just hammer, you know, we'll do those games. Doing those games by yourself for your own achievements is going to be extracting you from other people's streams. So that, and I have a few people coming in and say, oh, we spend a lot of time doing this game because it's the time, we've got plenty of time on our hands. Otherwise, I've got to tell you that lots of my community members, previously, they were, you know, doing the usual kind of chores. They would kind of drive to work, or they would be using public transport, and then they would be communicating with us. So actually, on the way to work, let's say they have to travel for an hour when they commute, they then chat and watch the channel and get together with other community members. So that's been absent. We didn't have much of that in recent months. And Vertigo says, I just want to earn a lot of stuff again and not just grab it out of my vault is my whole thing. Well, obviously the option is to delete everything, you know, and then restart the character. If you delete the character, then you'll start from scratch. It's down to the personal preference. And if you delete your character, you obviously will have your vault, but you will still be getting the old weapons, the, you know, less potent ones as you carry along, and that's always an option. So I guess you can decide. I just want to ask you, have you played Anthem? Anthem is a wonderful multiplayer game. It's quite similar to Destiny in some ways, but also it is significantly different, and the game has been improved and enhanced since those early days with technical problems, and I played it a lot up to the point when I got to the end game, and I'll still have lots of other things to do, because in Anthem you have 6 difficulty levels, and once you reach the top level, which I think is a level 30, the game level, then the other more difficult the upper difficulty levels are unlocked, and then you can replay certain things, and it's a lot more challenging. So it's really, really cool. And also it's a multiplayer, so doing it together in a team of 3 or 4 is you know, by far the best. So I was just curious to see whether you played it. And I also talked to our friends yesterday about another game that I played on PlayStation Now services recently. And at the moment I'm literally exploring all the games which are accessible through the wonderful streaming service of PlayStation, because I've had it already for a number of years and only played a few dozen games. So, you know, really ridiculous considering I'm investing every month sizable revenue basically on the subscription, and there are lots of interesting games there. So really I've gone through about 30, I think it's about 30 during last week, and I've really discovered some absolute fantastic true delights. The games I've never heard of that are very, very enjoyable, and also the games that I generally wouldn't play, like platformers and the old arcade style games, and some of them are really incredible. They're really, really exciting and great fun to play. So obviously most highly recommend to everyone to do exactly the same, just to, you know, nosedive and try all the games that are there. There's one game that is similar to Destiny, but it's a bit like Destiny and Half-Life, but just very dark, meeting Alien as well. So it's like that sort of environment. I'll tell you what the game's called. The game is called Alien Rage. Have you played Alien Rage? I'm curious, because I can recommend it. It's quite high-paced, there's a lot of action in there, and it does sort of feel a bit like, well, I guess it feels a bit like Halo, maybe more than Destiny, but you know, both games came out of Bungie, so you got the aura, and just the darkness of it all was really kind of mesmerizing, and I really enjoyed it. I've just started playing it, but I thought I should mention it. A really very good, very interesting game, and I'm recommending it to everyone who is a Destiny veteran, because you get people who are wanting to kind of research the auras, auspices, and influences on other games that are there, and certainly Alien Rage is one of those. And let me see. Vertigo says, I did when it first came out, but didn't like it. It had so many problems. Well, I can tell you from like my experience, I've done beta Phantom and VIP demo, and also the open demo, and that experience was the worst I've ever had in my gaming history. It was just really bad. It was absolutely abhorrent. Nothing worked. Infinite loading periods, game crashes, rubber banding. It was beyond understanding. It was just like much worse than, you know, a clip of a gameplay from a game that's still developing, and we couldn't work out why. They were explaining to us that it was to do with the servers and the number of people entering the game, but eventually they released a statement saying that it was to do with the game engine, so-called called Frostbite, you know, which is proprietary to Electronic Arts, and they couldn't resolve it then. So they spent another year working on the game and resolved almost all these technical issues. They're fully resolved. I mean, I played on Xbox. I'm not sure whether it works the same on PlayStation or PC, but from my experience, I didn't have a single glitch. The only thing that remained was loading periods. They're quite lengthy. They're not infinite, but they're lengthy. So when you're entering your suit, and when you're kind of going to these areas where you're going to kind of commence battles, it does take a while, and for some maps takes a bit longer than with others, but it's not infinite. You know, the loading is kind of fully completed in time, and then you can crack on. There are no lags, there are no delays, there's no rubber banding, nothing like that. And obviously we didn't have any crashes on the achievements or completion of the game, so that you know, all of these problems that were initially present were completely resolved. Hence all the embarrassment and upsets that were obviously present right at the beginning. And the game is going to be relaunched. They were to be providing seasonal content and doing other bits and pieces similar to what we have here in Destiny, but they decided not to do it, and they felt that the game didn't perform initially, and once they feel everything is fully resolved, they will relaunch the game with additional story missions and I guess a new concept, because it's obviously a full online multiplayer like Destiny. So we are waiting for that, and I think it is going to be very successful. That's certainly what I think. They'll probably launch another campaign and the new characters and new adverts and all sorts, but I'm in two minds about the game engine. You know, if it caused them so many problems initially, maybe it will happen again. But purely in terms of the sequences where you fight with enemies and the open world activities, they have one activity which is called Cataclysm, and that happens in the open world, so it's like a free play. You need to walk around a bit to see a massive big kind of intergalactic cloud emerging above you, and then you've got to be there with at least 4 people. It's similar to what we have here as raids. You know, you come in there as really difficult enemies and really tricky, and if you are with a team of 4, then obviously you can walk through it, and it depends on the difficulty level. So if you are doing the basics, it's, you know, fairly difficult, and if you are already on the 6th difficulty level that you unlock, then it's insanely tricky, and you really do need that team of 4, otherwise you will not be able to finish it. So for anyone who kind of likes huge challenges, that is going to be very, very exciting for them to enter. And our friend Vertigo says he hadn't played Alien Rage. Well, it's you know, it's a game that's been around for a while. I believe it was released on PlayStation 3, and thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, if you have a chance, have a look at some clips on YouTube just to familiarize yourself with in-game mechanics and activity, see whether you like it. But for me, it is a bit like Halo meeting Alien meeting Half-Life, and a lot of people of the younger generation are not familiar with Half-Life because it hasn't been fully re-released. and it's really a game that was seen as a kind of foundation stone for loads of FPS games arising, in consequence. And certainly Halo was very, very close to it initially, with those lengthy corridors and tunnels and fighting sequences. But I guess Half-Life was a bit more eerie. It was a bit like Resident Evil to a degree, albeit it wasn't a game with the overall kind of survival element, but definitely a game worth revisiting if one has a chance on the PC. You can purchase it through Steam and then try it, and always enjoyable. I remember playing it a lot at the time, and always enjoyed it, and you had a few tricky bits that were sort of hard to bypass, but Alien Rage for me is a combination of a few of those, and it seemed good initially. I've not played the whole game, so don't quote me on it, but the overall impression was very, very good. And also I played on PlayStation Now Agatha Christie's ABC Murders, Hector Poirot puzzle stroke adventure game, very, very interesting and very enjoyable. And then Alienation I played, which is a bit like a strategy game, very enjoyable as well. And loads of other ones. I was just trying whatever is there. 700 games I need to get through, so I've gone down to about 30 so far. I'm still on the letter A, so a lot to get through, but definitely I'll get there. In fact, I'm one of those people who's been recommending the streaming services from the day one, both on PlayStation and Xbox, because I feel, purely in terms of my own personal economics, subscribing to two services, paying £20 a month for the both of them, is giving me an unrestricted, full, complete access to more than 1,000 games. And only purchased a few games during the last few years. There was no need for it. I could just play the games on those services, through those services. And if I really loved the game, if I really wanted to have it, or indeed I want to stream it, then I would purchase it, which has been the case with the games like the Division and Destiny and Anthem, and the big AAA blockbusters. But what better way to try a game, but just simply able to walk into it and enter it and try it through streaming services like Netflix, right? It just revolutionized the way people view media content, and I think it's incredible. And I got to tell you, presently I'm testing xCloud on Xbox, right? I'm on the testers, and xCloud is going to revolutionize the industry, because you will have streams of fantastic quality, like what you have. The system is similar to PS Now streams, but it's of a much higher quality. The streams on PS Now are variable depending on the game and the server. Some are not particularly good, some are incredible. And xCloud will obviously have the same standards for every single game, which is accessible through the server. And in addition to that, everything you have in your Xbox will be backed up on the server. So you will take your controller and your mobile phone or tablet, and then you can travel worldwide and then access all the information that otherwise you would need your console for through the server. You pull out your tablet on the beach, obviously you need to have very fast internet connection, pull out your controller and you play any game you want, any that you ever purchased, like backwards compatibility and stuff. And that itself is absolutely stunning, mind-boggling. And it will change, first of all, the perception of video gaming in the countries where people can't access Microsoft services, and it will exponentially rise as far as the number of participants is concerned. The new gamers and people will be obviously using their tablets and phones to do certain types of games. They may not be doing Warzone or PUBG because the internet speeds will be preventing them from that competitive streak, and adventure games, survival horror games, you name it. There's loads of games out there of different styles and genres that people are going to be able to enjoy like that. And I'm very, very curious to see what the response, the overall reaction from the community is going to be once it's out. Alright, I've talked quite a bit to our friend Vertigo. I'm very glad that he's still here with us and indeed providing us with lots of information, which has been very, very interesting. And what we'll do now is we'll commence with our first strike, and maybe we'll just take Taken War initially. to warm up, and then we'll go to Sivas. We've done Sivas yesterday with several duos, which were really awesome and very, very entertaining. Had a lot of fun doing it, and just need to double check whether I have my weapons fully equipped. Imago Loop, Galahorn, I'll just put on our Dark Drinker. Okay, go back to our Sivas, and there we have Taken War. We can't actually up the difficulty level to hard. Never mind, we'll do it on the normal difficulty level. Hope everyone's enjoying our community discussions today. Our introduction on all we do here through our charitable fundraiser. I talked a lot about the British Red Cross and our charities here in the UK, so hopefully you guys have heard all that's been said. Hopefully you are sharing our information on Twitter and Instagram and contributing. We want to raise the awareness for our charities at the moment, the British Red Cross in particular, and we want to raise as many funds as possible in order to support their very, very valuable work that they are doing at the moment in the global fight against the pandemic.
We must stop the weavers before they seal the garden and begin to summon back its heart.
So we're commencing with our first strike of the day. Looks like oh, we are actually being brought in. There are some people in there. No, that's not good. That is definitely not good. And I need my Galahorn for that. Unfortunately, I don't have any heavy weapon ammunition. Okay. That's been resolved. But I don't have any rockets. Somebody being solo in there by the looks of it. Super worked, and guess what? I've got some rockets, which is pretty good. So I'm trying to finish off this dreadful beast. See how powerful our rockets are going to be. Milk spot. No. Ah, look at that. Make sure you stance when you're facing these minotaurs because they will not be able to hit you. Look at this. That's not fun. Come on. We managed to hit him in the middle. Wow. Ah, that's annoying. This rocket, though. Thank you. Thank you, really appreciate it. Because while there is, I'll hit him with my rockets straight away. No! I'm blocked by something. The Undying Mind is gone. Thanks to my Galathorn. And thanks to our friends.
The Black Garden remains here among the light. But the Vex will never cease until their birthplace is restored. And we must keep it here until we can understand its origins.
So where's the chest? Well, there's no chest because this is just a take and more strike. Yeah, it's not Siva. I forgot. There we are. Let me see what's happening outside. It's been raining very, very heavily during the night. And we had scorching hot weather here in the UK during the last couple of days. It was 34 degrees. And last night we've had, well, it was already cool and breezy by the time I went to bed, and very wet during the night, so much cooler today. Temperatures around 18, 19, dropping from 34. So that's pretty good. Let me just see what's happening outside. I'm quite curious. It's not raining, but it is looking fairly wet. Loads of clouds, and looks like more rain in the afternoon, so that's all very good. I hate that humidity and heat. But I was in my nature reserve on both days. I have to say it was very, very pleasant. I didn't feel any humidity at all, and the air has been purified after almost 4 months of lockdown.
Still mourn the loss of the Nexus mind.
Is it 3.5 months
but
now?
For the Vex,
lost track.
Time is relative.
And
in one moment, a construct
the air is
is
just
lost.
absolutely
In the next,
pure.
it is reborn.
Very, very
when
different
a
to
powerful
what we
part
previously
of the
had.
network is lost,
So therefore,
the restorative
although we have
mind
this
is
heat,
summoned.
it is not as humid.
Creating a bridge through time.
And
A bridge
that is
that if it is not destroyed,
very
see the
rewarding,
Nexus
believe you
mind
me,
reborn.
when you live on 4 rivers. Humidity is what kills you. Disrupt the barrier. We've done this many times. So what's happening? Why isn't sniper in there? I want to know. Is it glitched? Probably. He couldn't have been there before me. Wow. I'm mistaken. Somebody was there before me. We've been brought into somebody else's strike. Already gone there, look at this. That's really ridiculous. It's not really enjoyable to watch either. No, we're not going to do that, I'm afraid. It's not an option. We'll do some other strike. I'd say that matchmaking here in Destiny 1 has been absolutely appalling of late. There's been no maintenance, and we are being consistently and continuously brought into other people's games, and that is no fun to watch. So let's see if we are getting, let's see what the modifiers are. Exposure, Guardian shields are increased but do not replenish. Special weapon damage is favored. It's called Specialist. Arc burn, arc damage from many sources greatly increased. Heroic enemies appear in greater numbers and are more aggressive. It's not too bad. I mean, arc burn, so arc will be obviously performing better, and in this instance my sniper is both arc and specialist, so we need to resort to the use of sniper as much as possible. Always double check the mods, because they make it really difficult sometimes, and we've done a great number of Nightfall strikes where the mods were making it impossible, and Sikapupa and myself, and sometimes Matthias and me and a few other guys would do those Nightfall strikes as a two-piece, and a couple of times, particularly with that Archon Priest and the Ogre, the mods were so terrible that we had a difficulty in completing. But remember, if you have pinnacle weapons and if you have a good team, then it
The Vex
is
have
a
restarted
lot more
their
manageable.
world-eating machine in a bid to restore their nexus. In time, Venus will be consumed.
And listen to this. Scouts report that the Vex have upgraded the Nexus mine with tech from the Vault of Glass.
Do you need something, Cade?
No, just here to support my favorite Guardian.
I'm sure. Let's take that Nexus mine apart.
Nexus Mind. Done this yesterday. And we are being brought into somebody else's strike, as you can see, which is yet again very annoying. This can't seem to be starting from the beginning. Look, this strike was lasting 10 seconds.
Cora, it's been fun, but I've got a legion of hunters to oversee, which is less fun than it sounds. I think they think I'm too hands-on.
Some of them just don't like you.
Wait, what?
You've done well, Guardian.
Keeping my
For the
skeleton
time being,
keys
Venus
for
continues to turn,
the weekly Nightfall.
despite our enemy's
So then I'll
best
get some
efforts.
better weapons. I'm not getting anything on these. Our friend is angry that he can't reopen a chest. Well, what can I tell you? Tricky old world, eh? Tells me I killed 8. How can this be? This is really odd. They're definitely not correct. I thought I just contributed to the demise of the boss, but didn't hit anyone else. Right, so it might be better on the second run, as our friends there are staying together with us, or at least one friend. You know when you have this sort of weather, rainy weather outside, very nice quiet Saturday, you can do everything you love doing the best. You can do a bit of video gaming, a bit of film watching, you know, your Netflix, your YouTube. You can do a bit of writing, do some chores at home. Just make it your creed to have every day as enjoyable as possible. It's very important, because your life becomes a different place. You know, you really kind of enjoy doing things every single day. Make sure you have a regular routine as well. Go to bed fairly early, before midnight, and get like good 8 hours of sleep. And then every day is a great day. Don't go to bed 3 o'clock in the morning and then wake up at 5. That's not a good idea.
The Black Garden may not stay among us.
No,
for
Black
long.
Garden.
Something has begun to repair the schism torn
Well,
by
this
its
is going to be
destruction.
interesting.
Vex now flood the garden channels to protect it. We must stop the Weavers before they seal the garden and begin to summon back its heart.
I always made sure my sleep cycle was at least 8 hours. And I worked in emergency services and, you know, had many nights on call and duty and that, but no, you're getting the same thing. Look at this. Nil. No. So guess what? We've got our sniper, and our sniper is the favorite weapon. Oh, I did. 6. Extraordinary. Let's get out of here as quick as I can. See the enemy. My super. Friends are busy with these guys and I'll be busy with the boss. One more rocket and he's gone. And I'm gone now. Thank you. Oh, I got him. Okay. Galadon, well. Cool. What's uncool is that we didn't start from the beginning.
The Black Garden remains here among the light.
Matchmaking here
But
is
the
just
Vex will never
really
cease
bad.
until their birthplace is restored. And we must keep it here until we can understand its origin.
I don't really understand it because obviously we were there with another mate. So surely we shouldn't have been brought into somebody else's strike. We should have been doing it together. Annoying. Well, eliminated 8, but the most important one I eliminated was the boss. So one of them was very, very valuable. Looks like 1 out of 3 yet again will be going to somebody else's strike. Boo for that. Really annoying. Really annoying. Well, maybe not. We'll see. Maybe we are going to be fortunate. Looks like they're not doing any maintenance on the strikes.
The House of Devils
We need
marked
to
you
wait
as
every
public
single
enemy
week
number
for that
1
Tuesday
after you
to
crashed their Prime
arise, and
server,
then
but Your old
some
friend
changes
Sepic's
happening,
Prime is
but
back. And apparently better than ever, thanks to the
I think
devil
it's slightly
splicers
disrespectful
and Siva.
because obviously many people are doing
Zavala's
Destiny
not too
1
happy
and
about the idea
they
of the
know that.
splicers playing Godmaker.
They really should invest a bit more
I
in
can't
human
blame him.
resources, but maybe it's due to
So
the
what
pandemic
you're
as well. They
saying
said
is it's
I watched
time we
a
return to
vidoc
the scene of the crime. I'm sure the Fallen will be happy to see
which
it.
was telling us all about September 22nd and all that is to follow, and they said it was for the first time in more than 3 months that they met, the game director and the game producers. Obviously they were adhering to social distancing and they were really
The splicers really know how to encrypt their systems. But I got this. Halfway through.
grid layers. Means that they were not really at work. They work from home. in other words. Let's see what's going on in there. Plenty. Definitely need a sniper. Well, he was faster than me. Missed it! Okay.
Got it. Grid's clear. Let's get out of here.
Okay, the grid's clear. With our friend here. Collect special ammunition, which is very important. Okay. At least we were not entering this strike right at the end. Mimi.
Deja vu. Me, you, a sea of devils and an angry machine god waiting on the other side. I'd say lock and load, but I'm sure you already
Lock
did.
and load. Okay, we need to get rid of these. 'Cause otherwise, the tank's gonna be a bit too powerful, right? Immune. But it was only left. I need to eliminate. Okay. To get my heavy on. Okay. That's good. This will work well. You see this one? It's not destroyed. Right, let's get in there. Let's get in there.
Why would the Splicers rebuild Sepix? They already have Siva.
I can make a guess. Maybe an offer to the other devils. A show of power? You know, in Siva we trust, and in Siva all things are possible. Get in there, and show them that their god is
In
nothing but metal and
Siva we
tech.
trust.
Sepix perfected, in all his glory.
Okay. Come on. Still got shield now. Look at this. He knows I've got my Galaform. Scorch cannon. Well, that's annoying, isn't it? Trapped on that.
Nowhere for Sepix to run this time.
Got him. Sepix is no more.
Sepix was the Splicer's next big play. Present a god for all to worship. Then control the flow of ether to control the house.
I guess they didn't factor us into the plan.
Any wrench we can throw in their works is a good
There
thing.
we are. Completed successfully.
You make one hell of a wrench.
Next. So let us have a look. We have some people supporting our charitable stream today. We have That One Chick, we have Seb Sark, Probot, we have Renza Empire, SDP05, Eugene Yoda, Elusi99 and Markin Mood 249. Thank you guys for supporting our stream, really appreciate it, as always. And let me see what we have on Twitter.
The Vex still mourn the loss of the Nexus mind. But for the Vex, time is relative. In one moment, a construct
Mr.
is
Gill,
lost. In the next, it is reborn.
Delta Reality,
When a powerful
Jules,
part of the network is lost,
K,
the restorative mind is summoned.
we have
It has begun creating a bridge through time. A bridge that, if it is not
Luca,
destroyed,
we have
will see the Nexus
Lilithy,
mind reborn.
Husky Devil, Jose Manuel, Druzin RPG, Makalaya. Thank you guys for supporting our stream. Thank you for supporting our charitable fundraiser.
I'm
All
detecting a series of
appreciated.
concentric barriers around the bridge site.
They protect the time bridge and seek to undo what we have done. Unless I'm
They nearly
mistaken,
got me actually.
barrier technology of this nature is unstable.
She's right. Find an arc source. You can use it to short out the barriers.
Our friends are racing. No need to race, my friends. We know what's to follow. We want to enjoy the activities. We want to tackle all the enemies. We don't want to just get to the boss. So we can tackle the snipers. Missed him. Right, this time it worked. Where's that drag? Has he gone in there or not? Oh, he picked it up already. I can't even see him. Really weird. Maybe we're a team of 3, so we are really walking to it. Yeah, the race through here as well.
Where we see beauty, the Vex see imperfection. Every planet, every being must be made anew.
God, man. Ridiculous. No more special ammunitions, you could see. Okay. Another relic. Yeah, our friends just legged it and, you know, chasing those bosses. Didn't even tackle the beast, and now look at that. Not a good idea to leave him there.
The Nexus Mind must have been a vital resource. The very appearance of the restorative mind means we have the Vex off balance. Press the advantage, Guardian.
They just ignored the whole lot of enemies in here. I mean, I don't get it really. What's the idea behind that?
That's the time bridge. And the restorative
Just
mind.
literally racing to get to the time bridge without engaging any enemies. I think ludicrous.
That capacitor just lit up. You know what to do.
Yeah, so I missed out on the juice. And get the idea behind it, I'm afraid. Survive. Okay.
I can sense the river of time. Its waters flow again.
Restorative mind has been destroyed.
The Nexus
Okay.
Mind is unmade, and the Vex are denied a powerful construct.
Just annoying that we are being
Very
brought into
well
the same
done.
strikes again. Okay, so this was really no fun, and I had enough of this activity because matchmaking doesn't seem to work. And what we'll do is we'll do a bit of Crucible, see whether there is going to be a better matchmaking in there. So let me see, that's the Crucible in here. I've got some bounties: Mayhem Rumble, Clash, Rift, Elimination, Rumble Supremacy, no control. Okay, so I'll have a short break, and after that we will resume with our Destiny adventure. In the Crucible we'll have an hour of action still to go. So I hope you guys are enjoying our stream and all the activities so far. We had some community members popping in, having a chat, and telling us a bit about their Destiny 1 gaming experience. We also did quite a few strikes. We talked a lot about the British Red Cross and charitable fundraiser. So altogether a very, very bright morning here on Twitch, on my channel. Very much unlike what I have outside, where it is dark, murky and drizzly. Right, I need to take a break, and let's just relax for about 5 minutes, and then once I get back we'll do some Crucible, and we'll resume with our Destiny adventure. So stay with us, and I'll be back in 5. Alright, my friends, I'm back. We'll carry on with some hectic activity in the Crucible. The reason for that is I got a bit tired of those strikes because the matchmaking doesn't seem to be working properly literally throughout the whole week. And every single time we enter a strike, we're being brought to the end of it and we are joining somebody else's match. It's just really not very nice to watch. And let's see whether the matchmaking in the Crucible is going to work better. Hopefully it will, but you know, we need to wait and see. Just to really illuminate everyone on the status of my internet, I have a very, very poor quality fast broadband. I don't have fiber, which really disqualifies me from any form of active, proper PvP gameplay. I can't really do anything because of the lag. But we do the Crucible here for entertainment purposes only. So if people are expecting some scoring and you know, chasing certain kinds of results, that is not going to be happening. So I want everyone to know this. So from time to time, some of the random viewers and people pop in, start asking us as to what the problem is, and you know, there's nothing you can do about it. In fact, I've had a couple of emails coming in from my from the BT, the main internet fiber optic service provider in the United Kingdom, and they said that there are some technical issues as to why they can't be connecting the street exchange cabinet, which is literally what, 25 meters away from my flat, to the property where I live. I've no idea what the problem is. It's absolutely beyond ludicrous, and I'll have it thoroughly investigated, because we've been asking for fiber optic in our building already for more than 4 years and nothing's happened, whilst all the other buildings in the surrounding area, the town centre, I enjoy the full benefits of it. And it's affected me unbelievably because A, I can't do PvP, which is one of my favourite activities, and then secondly, I can't be producing the stream here on my channel which is of acceptable visual quality because of the upload speed. In the United Kingdom, our upload speed on standard broadband is just 1. And even if you have the fastest fibre on Virgin or other providers, your upload will not be greater than 15. And comparing to Sweden and the US, where the upload speeds are massive, that is just simply really not comparable. So let's have a look at all that is there with the Crucible. So we need to, oh, beg your pardon, that's actually my error, we've had it already there. We'll go to Rumble, set destination, Mayhem Rumble. Let's see what is there for us to follow. I keep forgetting that sometimes we need to wait for a while to get selected. So let us see whether it is going to be speedy or whether we are sentenced to that infinite loading. If that is to be the case, we'll probably resort to manual strikes through various maps there in Destiny 1. I feel that Bungie are not really pulling their socks up with the maintenance. The performance of some of the sections of the game, particularly on the strikes, and the Crucible has not been particularly good during the recent weeks, and it's hampering our broadcasting effort. I thought they should really pay a lot more attention to it in view of the integration of Destiny 1 to Destiny New Light that we're expecting on the 22nd of September this year. But such is life. We need to just wait and see what happens. Right. So are we sentenced to that infinite waiting in here? Maybe not. Maybe we are to be brought in whilst we are looking at the matchmaking screen. I can just examine my weapons, see what we picked up, if anything. Not really anything of substance. Not even some engrams. But you know, it's not surprising considering we were not able to do those strikes from the beginning. spotted something there. Yeah, Frosties. Frosties are very, very good. And what's particularly good about them is you increase intellect, you increase the rocket launch ammunition, fusion rifle ammunition, and then you have void double down. So remember that if you are to be using them. But presently I'm using my Eon Tracer, which is present on everything that I have on me, inclusive of my cloak. And that cloak has the Crucible Champion perk switched on, so that is allowing me to be gaining a lot more reputation through the matches. Remember that, very important. If you are doing the Crucible, use one of those cloaks, that will be giving you that sort of enhancement. Well, no joy for us here by the looks of it today, yet more waiting. And then probably we'll get the message saying, well, you've not been selected, you've been timed out. No joy, so we are not going to be waiting any longer. To go back to the Crucible, find perhaps another map. Clash. Let us see. Is it going to be better? This is worse. Just performing so badly. I mean, from bad to worse it's gone. Literally waiting for Kingdom to come, and it's just not going to be coming, is it? Oh, should have said it earlier. 3 people selected already, so maybe we'll have a bit more fun. We'll see. I like my ship though, I like the insignias and all I've got on it. It's like a proper fighter jet. For everyone watching, we are just simply sitting and waiting in here to see if we are to be selected for a Crucible match. It should be in the Clash option. Okay, let's have a look at our interactivity today. Anybody else? No, we didn't have anybody popping in. Instagram's been very quiet. It's been like this every day, really. A bit disappointing. It does feel that people are migrating from Destiny universe to other games, and I think the greatest migration, the greatest change I spotted here has been since the launch of Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone. That Battle Royale game is outstanding and it's much superior to any other we played. Lots of people who do the Crucible here have gone there, and they're having a lot of fun. They have seasonal content and various other niceties offered, thrown in, and it's very attractive. I played it quite a lot in the first few weeks. I loved it. I should really revisit and do it again. Went up to the almost top level in no time. But the teams that I found there were also quite good. and just a lot of fun. Just very annoyed with the fact that I still can't get fiber in my area, and that's hampering my PvP effort, because otherwise I do a lot more PvP here on the channel. But what's the point of doing it if you're lagging? In fact, I was doing PUBG recently, and I prepared for it actually. I played it for 4 weeks to warm up, and then to my great surprise, once we've done our first couple of streams, the lag was unbelievable, inclusive of rubber banding, and I kept getting killed when I was chasing a circle because the game kept bringing me back. And then the worst of all was the lag was like 2 seconds. So within 2 seconds my path was registered, and I've seen some kill cams and the guys were like firing randomly like 5-10 yards behind me, and I die. It was just really absolutely appalling. So I said, no, we are not going to be doing this, because it is too embarrassing, and indeed it is very, very irritating to see that the game is not performing technically. It's similar to Destiny 1. PUBG has been one of the greatest successes of all times, really, as far as the PvP activity is concerned, but I don't know what happened in the meantime, or maybe it's to do with the pandemic. They completely reduced the number of people working in maintenance, so the game is so badly glitched it's almost unplayable at times. From freezing to rubber banding to lag to inability to get into the lobby. Like I wake up literally in the territory. I'm not even waking up on the plane, can't see the map. The teammates are not popping up on a map. I can't see their drop allocation. All of those kinds of problems persisting, and really I've heard from some other PUBG pro gamers and streamers that are very, very upset and concerned that that's been happening. But on the other hand, it's understandable. All the services will be greatly reduced with the pandemic, so you know, many people are playing PUBG, and therefore the issues are popping up every single hour, and therefore if there aren't many enough people doing the maintenance, then the problems just really become very, very great, and that's exactly what's been happening. Drifter, the reef, this is where we are going. Our first match. Let's see whether we are starting from the beginning.
Clash. Alpha team.
Looks like 4 of us rather than 6.
Best your opponents and survive. Victory is a matter of will.
Victory is the matter of will.
Gained the lead.
Gained the lead.
Lost the lead.
Lost the lead. Got him. That's good. The lag killed me, but I got him. Revenge. He got me earlier. I mean, I got him earlier. Papa. Register. You should have gone, really. Respawning in 10 seconds. What is going on in there? see I'm dying so quickly in here because of the lag. It's just really bad. Sounds like one shot, one kill there. See that? One shot, one kill. I didn't even see him. I was dead already. He's so superior with his speed. That's ridiculous. I did hit him 3 times. He's lagging as well. I can tell. So that's good. At least somebody there can be eliminated. Don't need any of this, I don't think. Super. I need to try my super and then maybe it will work. Let's see. See him from behind me.
Heavy ammo inbound. Heavy ammo available.
See, my teammates are so much superior to everything or anything I can do here. It's not gonna work at all. It's just not going to work, that's all there is. Their speeds are much superior to mine and I'm literally like a sitting duck in there. Oh, I got him. That's lag. I didn't even hit him at all. He was far away from me. He was hiding in there. Alright. Where was the other one? Didn't see him.
5 minutes remaining.
It's another one. Didn't work really. Neither didn't do any damage to him. And he looked at me and I was dead. Same story.
Won. Not enough, Guardian. You can do better. Fight again.
It's just no point being here when the speeds are so poor. Really just a fact. We have to leave, I'm afraid. It's just no fun being killed so many times and my weapons being so ineffective. Nobody else here excelled in my team either. Alright, so this is a non-starter. We're not wasting our time in here. We'll do some other strikes. Maybe we'll do Vanguard strikes, let's see. Vanguard Legacy, Taken King, Sievers and Vanguard. Okay, we'll do these. Okay. Can't increase the difficulty level. Let's see whether we'll be joined by any other chums. We'll do maybe 2 or 3 more strikes, then call it a day. It's been a very enjoyable morning so far. Rainy, drizzly and wet. Damp, cloudy, murky out here in my local area. What's the weather like in your area? In Britain we are having thunderstorms after that heat wave, which in fact was very brief, but it was really very, very hot during the last couple of days. On Thursday we've had, I think, 33 degrees, yesterday 34, and on Thursday didn't feel humid, unbearable, it felt fine, but yesterday there was no respite, you know, the walls, the bricks and everything was still very, very hot from the day before, and it just felt very humid and unpleasant. But as I went out after 6 o'clock, there was a lot of breeze, and I really enjoyed my time in my nature reserve. And
beneath the ruins of the Cosmodrome,
local nature reserve, it's not actually mine, and I had really lots of fun. Went back after 11, still daylight. It was weird. Well, not really 11 o'clock night time, but 10:30 was still, I could see some light. And it's the way it's been for a while for me, being stuck indoors and then nipping out to the nature reserve, having company of rabbits and birds and all sorts. No people. And that's the way it needs to be at the moment. Oh, that's good, we're starting from the beginning. That's a big thing there. Let's go upstairs.
Fallen and Hive. Let's hope we can avoid the crossfire.
So where's that sniper now? There. There we go. Sorted.
Great. The way out of here is sealed.
Why is there always somebody who's faster, who's doing speedruns? What's the idea behind it?
Pretty complex. I'll need time.
Soldiers, I've got up that. Don't have a lot of special ammunition. Captains need to be eliminated first. I've watched your 6 friends. That was pretty good, wasn't it? Well, I'm kind of redundant in here. The guys are so fast and
I'll work faster.
Captain's gone. Sniper. Can't see him. Oh, there he is.
I'm close, but just so you know, there's more Fallen and Hive on the way.
Thank you. Thank God. Still a bit near the looks of it. All of them have been destroyed, so Shanks, the enemy. bubble. I'll let you get on with this.
Barrier is down. We can move now.
There you go. On a plate. For you to enjoy. Right. What am I doing?
The lair is up ahead, under that colony ship. Just on the other side of all those devils.
No. I knew it. It was there in the line of sight of that beast. The other guy hasn't heard of the methods by the looks of it. Two of his mates dead and he's like twiddling his thumbs. Okay. So that tank's gone. Sepix is next. Nova Bomb is absent because I'm playing a hunter. Prefer well. Both are awesome, Nova Bomb as well as this
So this is the Devil's Lair.
Right. No ammunition for this. completed. Probably enough time for another
Well
strike.
done.
Sepix Prime cast a great shadow over our city. With its destruction, the fallen devils will grow weaker.
Collect
We must
a few more
The fallen are crafty.
caches
They'll
of
find ways to
ammunition.
survive. They always do.
Dreadnought Veteran. Okay, so just another strike and then we are calling it today for today. Hope you guys enjoyed our activity and our community content. We've had a few friends popping in, saying hello, some old, some new, so this was all very good. But overall our Destiny community here on Twitch has become a bit quiet. People migrated to Warzone, Apex, other games are there. The Last of Us 2 everybody is doing at the moment. Everybody who is on PlayStation. 4 million copies sold in 3 days. That was extraordinary, really. A wonderful milestone achievement by Naughty Dog. We applaud them for that. And a lot of negative vibes directed at Naughty Dog, and I can't stop thinking that this is no coincidence. We've seen the same thing displayed towards BioWare last year, and you wonder what other studio is going to be next.
Tanix has no house.
You know, the trouble is some people just can't take it on the chin if things kind of go wrong, and in the investment industry it's just like that. Some investments work, others don't, and you need to just accept it and move on. Evidently, those entities in possession of very large capital are more likely to be flexible, and they can sort of survive the investments that go wrong compared to those that treat every cent as very precious. So it's a sad old world as far as these
to plunder the hide.
issues are
Your job
concerned.
just as simple. Avenge the dead. Stop
Unfortunately,
him
it all
from
goes back to
stealing
the very basics, which is called math. You see red bars for some reason. Can anyone tell me as to why? I should be able to see them. Let's see if grenades are following our friends. You gonna leave any enemies for me at all, or you just wanna eat everything for breakfast?
Tanix sees you not as an enemy.
I answered my own question.
You are a trophy to collect.
No special ammunition. Light it up. Let's see the way up. There.
Lift field distortion. catch just above you.
Alright. It's going to be difficult for him to sustain this sort of fire coming from 3 veterans. Let's raise the pack. Supercharge. That was good. You're challenging the ways of old. Well, I've seen it all before. Tanix is quite tricky if you're doing a Nightfall Strike that is also heavily modded, you know, it really can be very, very lengthy. Race. What's the idea behind that sort of racing? Somebody explain to me, please. Thank you. Vandal? Spare me? Oh, go away. Thank you. Not doing the job, I'm afraid. Finally, the walker's dead. Right. And that's good. I need extra heavy ammunition. Won't be able to do anything down below. X. All right. Look at this, a complete out of ammunition. Stuck in here. Look at that. Proper team effort.
Notorious mercenary dead. No small matter. You will be rewarded treasure from the Queen, and my respect as well.
The boss is dead and the ads are still there. Oh, that's fun, isn't it? Right, so we've come to the end of our broadcast for today. Hope you guys enjoyed all you've seen. Thank you for coming, for watching. Thank you for supporting our charitable fundraising effort here. We're raising funds for the British Red Cross. Told you all about it earlier in the session. So if you're out there, just remember that our friends and colleagues that work for the Red Cross are at the forefront of the war against the pandemic worldwide, and they require your support and attention. So if you can, please share some of the postings on Twitter and Instagram. You can directly take them from mine, or indeed if you're in position to contribute financially, just donate a few pounds directly through the link which is visible here on Twitch and also on my Twitter and Instagram, and therefore you will be helping the British Red Cross with the public support, with the awareness you're spreading, as well as with some finance. We want to be raising as much revenue as possible, and I'll be running my campaign as long as possible. So therefore I'd like to ask every one of our friends, video gamers and broadcasters alike, to support our campaign to make sure that our beloved charity, the British Red Cross, is carrying on without any difficulty on the financial front as we carry on with our war against the pandemic. So remember that. If you want to donate, just hit the link which is present here on Twitch as well as on my Instagram and Twitter. Very easy, just click on the link, donate, and then you'll have the option of donating through PayPal or through your bank and it is very simple, it's straightforward, it's encrypted, 100% safe, and the money donated is going directly to the British Red Cross. Right, we've come to the end of our broadcast for today. We'll carry on as usual tomorrow at 10 o'clock, so definitely pop in, have a look, say hello, and rejoin our community of Destiny veterans here on my Twitch channel. Until then, I wish you all a very happy, healthy, safe afternoon ahead. See you all tomorrow.